Hello everyone who's ever wanted to both fly and swim at exactly the same time. I am BorderWise, and welcome back to From the Depths. And we're making another submarine in another Let's Build, because by gum I felt like it. And for once I actually tried to look up where the suggestion for this was, and I failed. I couldn't find it. I might be misremembering where I saw it or heard it. And basically, someone, sometime, somewhere, even if it was only in my imagination, asked, like, can you build a submarine out of alloy? And is that a good idea? The instinctive response, of course, is no, because alloy is super floaty-floaty, and submarines must be sinky-sinky. That is the scientific, technical language, and you will not convince me otherwise. But it's worth having a go. And so what I have found here... well, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, using alloy. Very floaty-floaty, it's a problem. But it is also second only to rubber in terms of how low a sonar signature it has. Like, both rubber and sonar have a reduced both radar and sonar signature, I believe. Might need to double-check that. Feel free to test that out for yourself, because I just realized I'm not so sure about that. But anyway... so what's an advantage to making a submarine, very light? Well, you could make it fly as well. So, this is actually something I've been meaning to try for a while, and it keeps, blipping in and out of what is occurring to me to record on any particular day, is of a submarine that only submerges in combat. It's not that radical an idea. But out of combat, it flies. And what this means is, this is... for the purposes of campaign practicality. So, you have something that, out of play, moves very, very fast, but it still submerges in combat and has all the advantages of a submarine. So it basically is a very fast submarine. And, like, not to spoil anything, but, like, the end result of this is pretty damn fast even when it's in the water, so... yeah, it's pretty good. And this is just me working out the turret. It's a very basic turret. Super basic. Super basic, it's what we like. And just a little bit of fiddling around. You might have noticed already this video is a little bit shorter than what Let's Builds typically are. And that's just because this went really well. Today was a good build day, apparently. And also, this is nowhere near a finished craft. It doesn't have active defenses. It only has missiles as weapons. So, yeah, it's, this was a fast build. And by the way, after building that, railgun sub, the other day, I have to say, it's like, it is such a joy, to just make a missile-armed submarine, because even though missiles, they're not a noob weapon per se, because if you are good at From the Depths, by gum, you can do amazing things with missiles. But... they are pretty simplistic, and they do have very clear limits on what they can and cannot do, and they're expensive, etc., etc. But it's just so nice to be able to just slap down something, and you just know it'll work. It's idiot-proof, you don't require detection or anything like that. And it was such a joy to do a simple thing. And, yeah, as I've said before, I swear we'll get back to building, like, realistic, inverted commas, ships and planes and stuff like that. Sooner rather than later, hopefully. I have stuff planned, no worries. But yeah, like, this turned out very canoe-like, sorry to say, I guess. Or not even that really, because if you compare the shape of how this ends up looking like, it doesn't actually look very much like a canoe. It just is kind of wrong. It looks like some kind of weird sci-fi thing. I guess if you consider canoes to be sci-fi, that's, I don't know. Are canoes sci-fi? Someone left a comment the other day, and again, I'm sorry I don't remember, their name, but, they pointed out it's not my fault that canoes are, are a very convenient hydrodynamic shape. And, yeah, so, but going by that, you can blame the scientists for their, for all the scientific proof that having something that's vaguely pointy at both ends is a good thing to stick in water. So, take that, and I guess take that, science. So yeah, we're just working out here, and this is the usual, this is, like, again, this is one of the usual reasons I do tend to do things that are roughly the same at the bow and stern. It just makes life very quick and easy, because you do one end, and then you do the other end, and you're done. Like, that's basically it. You've managed to do it. Whatever it was, you did it. And what is happening there? What is happening in our lives now? Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought for a second. So, yeah, there's not much to talk about, like, on screen right now. We're just getting the hull right. There's no particular reason to be extending the air gap filler out this far. I don't think I put anything particularly valuable or important to protect, like, in the pointy bits of this thing. But I do it anyway, so because it's decent practice just to have, like, spaced armor hither and thither. And, yeah. This is the bow building bit. Also, one particular thing, as I was building this, I was being very aware that the turret doesn't give a very good indicator of, like, which direction it's pointing, and so I was worried that I would forget which end of this thing was the front and which was the back. And, so you'll occasionally see me, I guess, kind of just pause for a moment to make sure that the arrow is pointing in the right way. So, yeah. And before anyone comes at me and points out that there's a little text thing at the, you can see it right now, saying where the front of your craft is, it's very easy to lose track of that when you're down in the guts of a craft, and which means you have to pause, take a moment anyway to see where it actually is. And this is me. I get half a cookie for remembering to set like limits on the altitude targeting, and also to set the torpedoes. And just because I had a ballast tank on there already, I decided, like, you know, let's make the torps heavy. Let's try that, because people are always, like, suggesting that in the comment section, is like, you make them heavy so they come up from underneath. More specifically with using frag torpedoes for that, but yeah, like HE, like the underside of most surface displacement vessels in From the Depths is generally a lot less tanky than the sides or the front, or even the top, really. So yeah, it's like, that's something I remembered to do this time, and I get another half a cookie for that. So we're at 1 cookie right now. Do I remember to get any other cookies? I do need to remember to test that, because the collision surfaces of slopes was changed not too long ago to basically, I don't know, avoid, like, cheesy turret rotation. So I need to double check whether that actually stops the bloody thing from the thing, being the ammo compartment, from, like, chain reacting, because it's going to be very embarrassing if I find that out the hard way, isn't it? Also, by the way, when you wrap your stuff in rubber, since the rubber is not really armor anyway, it's just an EMP barrier, it is a, you know, you might as well use the beam slopes. I keep forgetting to do that, because here's the thing, especially if you are doing the sensible thing and wrapping the AI compartment in tougher materials anyway, so, like, you have the AI, you have the rubber insulation around it, and then you have either metal, but more typically heavy armor around it. If anything gets through that metal or heavy armor, the rubber isn't going to stand up very long anyway, so you might as well use rubber slopes. Doesn't matter that they have half health, because they ain't going to last long anyway. Rubber, I love rubber. Both in From the Depths and real life. But yeah, it has its limits, both in real life and the game. There's something actually, like, just a fun anecdote while we're, what are we doing? We're just going to slap down a whole bunch of engines here. This is one of the great things about having deck turrets. It actually frees up a lot of space inside the craft for other things. So this has a lot of engines, because I'm going to stick a lot of propellers on it, custom props specifically. We even have some space down the middle, just in case we want to use it. Yay! But anyway, my microphone is currently sitting on top of a roll of masking tape, because I did some sound testing the other day, and most of the background noise, and I'm hesitant to even mention it in case people start noticing it more, there's a kind of like, well, yeah, there is background noise, and that is the computer's fans in the background. Like, the microphone is sitting on the same wooden desk as the PC. So the good news is that that's not traveling through the air. That sound is traveling mostly through the desk, which is brilliant. And like this microphone, it's not a top-tier mic, but it does have a directional feature, meaning it is only going to record stuff coming from a certain direction if you push the button right. And so what that means is that we need some kind of soundproofing in between the mic stand and the desk. And I wanted to go find a specialized rubber thing for this, but like, you know, and I'm open for suggestions if anyone has any. But what it's currently sitting on is a roll of masking tape, which actually works decently well for like dampening the vibrations coming from beneath the microphone. What I want to do, and I might even do this today just for giggles, or not, like, you know, my schedule is flexible. I want to go off and I want to find adhesive rubber. And I'm not even going to stick it to anything, I'm just going to have the roll of that adhesive rubber, and that'll basically be me mic stand. Because there's a double whammy of convenience with just using a roll of tape like that, is that, firstly, the stuff itself, like masking tape is, well, it's paper, so paper is pretty lousy at sound dampening, but the stand is, it's got like basically an air gap in the middle, because it's a roll, and that is pretty good sound insulation when you have like an air gap. Sound, weirdly enough, does not travel through air very well, and yeah, so like if you know, have an air gap, not only is it great defense against heat and hesh, as From the Depths has all taught us, it's also decent sound insulation. It's why, yeah, basically the sound gets like caught and dampened by the space, and that's very nice. So yeah, and of all things, that reminds me, like, this research been done into like the volume, or at least the default volume of languages. And it turns out that languages that originate from like warmer countries, and this is just me testing out the propellers and testing out that the pitch and roll all works, as you can see, goes underneath just fine. It might be super floaty, but it's also very light, which means that the propellers can push it around just fine. And it's going pretty damn fast, even like not at full thrust, so that's great. But anyway, so apparently sound travels better in cold air because it's more dense. So languages coming from colder climates like Northern Europe, North America, the Northern Asia, that like basically up north, generally speaking, because there's not a hell of a lot of cold places down south. Actually, there are. Never mind, I tell a lie. Basically, those languages are quieter because they don't need to be so loud. You don't need to speak as loudly to be heard when the air is cool. And in warmer countries, because the air is like has energy, it's like it's warm, the air molecules are like jiggling about and they're spacing out more, sound doesn't travel quite as well. So people need to speak up, so to speak. So like if we're talking in like equatorial Africa, if we're talking India, we're talking South and Southeast Asia, we're talking like Indonesia, Malaysia, and like Central and the northern bit of South America. Just ignore me accidentally spawning in a thing there. The languages tend to, like, you know, be naturally louder. And incidentally, this is also why animals like birds, monkeys, and stuff like that, why they do their territorial calls in the early morning and the evening, because the air is cooler and the sound travels further. So that is fascinating physics, and basically what I mean, it basically means that if I want to soundproof my microphone, I need to stick it in the microwave oven. That was a joke. Please do not report me to the computer police. And anyway, I've given this thing a rubber hat because I can see the future, and I know that if I ever decide to use this thing, I probably won't. This is more a prototype than anything else. I just want to make sure that it doesn't kill itself on terrain. And as you can see, it immediately dives below the water and has no trouble whatsoever staying there because it's running on airplane AI, and that means it's controlling its altitude using its pitch, which is some very powerful propellers, and it is just going for it. And the problem with launching horizontal missiles from a submarine is that they can get kind of stuck in water, so that's a bit of an issue. And here we have these heavy torpedoes, which are almost but not quite in time to do stuff. And they exploded for some reason. I guess they just hit something. But yeah, turning fail-safes off on the thing, because missiles, it doesn't matter. And what is it? This thing goes like it's like 60 meters per second, like underwater, which is pretty damn good for a submarine. Now I want to make all submarines like this. Just because they're speedy. Speedy, convenient. And yeah. So yeah, like, this is like, I should, like, despite what I've just said, I want to make all submarines like this. This is not the be-all and end-all in submarines things. What I should do, actually, is I should attach a little bit of bread, or an ACB, probably bread, honestly. This thing has more general-purpose processing power than it actually needs. And just make it so that if torpedoes get too close, this thing flies out of the water, which would be pretty friggin' dope, actually. You can stick little passive sonars on the top turret, so the thing flings itself out of the water, and then just on a delay, like maybe a 1 to 5 second delay or something, it puts itself back in the water. So yeah, that'll be, you know, I think, yeah, this is potential. This is the kind of thing you make it just to see what happens, and then you look at it and you think, yeah, potential. So, here's an important test. Remember, combat testing is very important. The Plunderer has torpedoes, and I just want to see whether this thing can, underwater, outrun torpedoes. And at first it seemed like no, it couldn't, because you can see the submarine is getting closer. Oh boy, they're getting close. And then the torpedoes despawn. So yeah, this thing can actually outrun torpedoes, or at least the torpedoes that are on the Plunderer, which are hardly the final word in torpedoes. But that's pretty damn good, actually. Like, it means that this thing, the stage 1 of torpedo defense is it's too fast for torpedoes to hit. And because it, like, I could really get clever, actually, and, like, get rid of all the wireless connections on it, which would make it very, very stealthy indeed. And you just see me fiddling around with torpedoes here, making sure that they aren't too delayed with their guidance. And so here we have the missiles being missiles. And AI dead, EMP for the win. So there we go, that's our flying submarine. It is a very wobbly though, so like maybe a PID just to control roll at the very least would be a good idea, but you know what? That'll do. I like that. I'll be making more stuff like that in the future probably. So, I hope you found this interesting or helpful. And if neither's the case, I hope you have a wonderful day anyway. So thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps. And there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters. Do check out my stuff on Twitch and my second channel, BorderRR, for non-From the Depths stuff. And I will see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell.